Hey, and welcome back to Overt for Life. My name is Jay, and this channel is all about relationships, breakups, and everything in between. I have an anxious attachment style, and I'm also the survivor of an attempted suicide, which was a result of being in a narcissistic abusive relationship for 5 years. So remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for any other videos that are coming up. So, that being said, let's talk. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about the devaluation stage of a relationship with a narcissistic abusive person. This happens more or less straight after the love bombing stage. So after the stage of the admiration, the attention, the mirroring, the you're everything that I could ever want, everything I could imagine, the I adore you, I love you, all that stage that happens at the beginning. What happens next is a part called the devaluation. And this is the real toxic part of the relationship. This is the part of the relationship where the behavior becomes very hot and cold and kind of without warning. And it can be small things. And the reason for this is that people that have a narcissistic take on life, they see things as either black or white. They don't really see grey areas in situations. So because of them seeing life in black and white terms in general, they see you as either good or bad in any situation. There's no grey. So you can never have a day where it's like, oh, I'm in a bad mood today, but it's just because I had a bad day at work. But I know generally you're not usually in a bad mood, so I'm not going to take it to heart. In that instance, you are seen as literally the devil because you are not in a position where you're able to serve their needs. Because that's what it is. When it comes to narcissistic relationships, it's about serving their needs. So after they've given you the attention, the admiration, they require that from you non-stop. And anytime you deviate from that, it's met with punishment. And this punishment can range from deliberately not texting you back, leaving you on red, withholding intimacy from you for weeks on end, deliberately doing things within the household that they know will trigger your anxiety or trigger your fear of abandonment within the relationship. And it's really hard to navigate because when you're going through this devaluation stage, you're still in your mind thinking of this person as being this person at the beginning that love bombed you. So any sort of, the dysregulation that they give you within your thoughts, feelings, and emotions through the devaluation stage, you just attribute it to you. And you would do anything and everything in your power to get back to that place of comfort within that relationship. And with the devaluation, a lot of the times they devalue you on stuff that they idolize you in the beginning with. So let's say it's, oh, I really, really like the way you dress. I really like your charisma. That then becomes a form of, it becomes slightly intimidating towards them. So where they would have liked how you dressed and liked that you had charisma and style, if any time someone compliments you on that, then later on there'll be punishment. So you'll notice a shift in their behavior. So you could be out and someone could come up to you and say, oh, I really like the way you dress, or I really like the hat that you're wearing today. And when you get home, you'll notice there's this silence and this tension in the air, and it's like, why, what's wrong? Immediately it's nothing's wrong. So they're not willing to communicate with you what the problem is. And this leaves you in a state of confusion of, I've done something wrong. What can I do to fix it? What can I say to fix it? And when you've got an anxious attachment style, straight away you're in this mode of, I need to fix this. I need to fix it. I don't want it to be in a bad mood. I don't want it to be in a bad mood. And you'll see the change in them when someone gives you a compliment or says something nice to you, and you see this disdain in their face, and it's like, wow, what's that all about? I remember one example. So with my second relationship, we used to party a lot. We used to go out a lot to these fancy dress parties, and I would really put a lot of effort into these outfits for these fancy dress parties. Like, go far and few, like far beyond. Not for the attention, just because I like the creative aspect of the dressing up. I like the creative aspect, and it turned out most of the time the outfits I had were quite good. They were quite stunning. You know what I mean? Like, look at the outfits, you're like, wow, that's really good. And at first they loved this. This was like, this is my boyfriend. This is my man. He's dressed so well. Look at his outfit. But then when it got to the stage of people paying more attention to my outfits than their outfits, then that became a problem. And the next day or the next week, there would be a lot of disdain. There would be, what's the word? How could I explain it? It would always be trying to one up for an achievement that I had. It was like, well, because you've had that admiration for something you've done, I'm not going to give you that admiration. I'm going to get the admiration. And the only way to get that is to ignore you, leave you on red, or just be really, really difficult. And I remember one of the statements that was made, it was, how is it every time we go to a party and the photographer's there, they always take pictures of you or you're in the video? And I thought this was such a strange comment. Because for me personally, if my partner was in a position where everybody's loving how they dress, loving how they looked, I'd be proud of that. It's like, yeah, that's my partner. Like, yeah, look at her. Like, she's top of the town. Like, and she's with me. Like, yeah, great. But with people that are quite narcissistic, they don't like the attention taken away from them. And when the attention is taken away from them, that's when the punishment begins. And the punishment can vary, and it can last for hours, for days, however long they want it to last, until you've apologized for being triggered by their behavior. And it's such a weird dynamic, because you know that it's nothing you've done wrong, but at the same time, you still want to apologize and make it right, because you want to go back to that stage of the love bombing stage where they were giving you everything that you needed and everything that you wanted to feel secure. And as an anxious attachment, when they do pull back, you will give them everything that they crave, which is the attention that they crave. They just want it, they want it. And it kind of becomes like you can never give enough. They always want more, and more. And I remember with the first relationship, and so you never say you love me. I said, I tell you I love you all the time. Well, it's not enough. And you'd be like, how many times in a day must I say it for it to be acknowledged? Like, is there a certain quota that I have to maintain to show you how much it is that I do care and I do love you and I do want to be with you? And it just puts you in this state of anxiety all the time, that you have to be doing more and more and more, and be more lavish towards them to give them what it is they want. And in the process, you kind of forget yourself and you forget your self-worth. And this devaluation, love bombing, this happens throughout the relationship. It's not just a one-time thing. It's an up and down thing. It's a hot and cold, hot and cold. So when they're in that stage of the love bombing, as I said, they see in black and white, you are the most amazing person. You are everything they could ever dream of. You are just the top of the tier, the pinnacle. And then when they go in the other direction, it's nothing for a day or two or a couple of hours or how long ever it lasts. There is no grey, no in between. So it just leaves you in this state of being, you're constantly hyper vigilant of what's going on, and it makes you overthink all the time of what to say and what not to say, as to not trigger their view of you to then give you some sort of punishment for something that you may have done or may not have done. So yeah, that is the devaluation stage of a relationship with a narcissistic abusive person. And I mean, how I would say to go about this is to recognize that your self-worth dependent on them, and the punishments that they give for you not being able to be that perfect person that they idealized you in the beginning, is to know that your self-worth does not depend on them. Because the moment your self-worth does depend on them, they will use that as a tactic to control and manipulate how you think, how you feel, how you view yourself. So self-worth is so important. The self-worth is important to kind of back up how you feel, and to know that you don't need the narcissist to feel whole.